I don't know if that's going to ruin the quality of the video, but we'll try. So, welcome to Rip the Lip podcast number 1, episode number 1. I have Kyle Hervé here, who is a race car driver extraordinaire, a Roval champion, undisputed. No one's ever beaten him at the Roval, so that's something to be proud of, right?
No, yeah, definitely. There was the little known Linda's Grand Prix a bunch of years ago, which was my first taste of dirt road course racing, and then the Roval to open up the outdoor season for me this year, and that was the most dominant win that I've ever had in my life. It was very, very fun, and I wish they would do that again, even though I'm sure that a lot of other people never want to run that again in their life.
There's like, we just want to turn left, man. We don't want to turn right.
Man, I even made it more difficult for myself. The first heat race, I was starting toward the back, but I went into turn 1, and I've never had this happen before. I don't know what happened. As soon as I turned the wheel, when we took the green flag, my belts came undone. Never happened to me before.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. The only thing I could think of is riding around under caution. I had my arms down, and somehow my arm restraint hooked the latch for the belts, and as soon as I picked my hands up to where I drive at, I just undid my belts, and there was a wreck right in front of me, and the caution came out, so I like pulled off in one of the chicanes, and they let me redo my belts, but then I had to come all the way from the back and managed to win that heat race on the last lap, and then the second heat race I started up front and won that as well, and then led every lap of the feature. So I mean, realistically, going by Formula One rules, it was my first ever Grand Slam.
Slam, baby.
Won both heats and won the feature. So led every lap of the feature and set fastest lap time by over a second, I believe. It was very fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Very nice, very nice. Well, for those who are watching and don't really know who you are, if you would like to give yourself a small introduction and just tell them who you are, what you do, and what cars you drive, I guess.
Yeah, my name is Kyle Hervé. I've been racing, I believe this is my 21st year. I started out in quarter midgets and then went to Slingshots, been in Slingshots for 13 or 14 years now. Just recently started running micro sprints and TQs as well. I have one indoor TQ race, and I'm trying to get that ready to go racing in a couple weeks here at Waterford if I can get everything to come together.
Now, is that considered a midget, or is it just called a TQ?
It's a 3/4 midget, so it's a 750 motorcycle engine, and it's similar to a micro sprint, but just purpose built for pavement.
I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of one of these things. Oh, so it's like those ones that they run in the indoor.
Yep.
The indoor tracks or whatever.
Yeah. So whereas your micro sprint is a 600 or a 636 engine, that's a 750 Suzuki is pretty much all you run in that. And then they run them indoors. There's a couple series that run outdoors. So I'm trying to race with the ATQ MRA guys. We throw wings on them, and they run a nice tour all over the place on the East Coast. That's pretty cool, and I want to be a part of that. I haven't done too much pavement racing.
That is really cool.
Other than doing go-kart stuff and picking up all the Slingshot races I could with pavement. I mean, I used to race weekly when I could at Borders before that place shut down, and was always really fast there. And for whatever reason, since I started running the Slingshot on pavement, we've always been fast at all the pavement tracks. So I think I missed my calling. I don't know why I'm still doing this dirt thing.
Yeah, maybe that's... maybe the pavement thing's where it's at, man. Maybe that's your true calling. Maybe you can get into ARCA. Let's go. Oops. We want the other display.
I've always just liked the dirt because it's
I'm sorry. I'm showing the TQs here. These are those crazy. I don't know if you can see the stream, but yeah, I'm trying to show
streams behind.
Yeah, a little bit. I should really just share my screens, but
I'll see it in a minute.
They're talking about Allentown. I don't know when this was from specifically. This should really be something a little different, but yeah, for the most part, they're kind of like 600 frames, but they're like slammed to the ground, and they just have these big bald tires on them. I guess the big slicks, right?
Yep.
Now, do they run anything that's like bigger than 700, or is it only? They put a cap on it?
In the TQs, it's only 700. I
They
mean,
only...
your next step up from that would be, a full midget either on dirt or pavement. So.
Oh, Aiden said he's your biggest fan.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Oh,
Got
WJ Clark wants to know what tracks you run.
What tracks I run. So, this year I haven't really raced much. With the 600, I've been running Hamlin toward the end of the season there. But next year, I think I'm going to plan on try and run weekly at Action Track with the micro, and then I'm going to try and run all of the tour races with the TQ. But it's going to be a lot of work running 2 different disciplines, running the full tour with the TQs, and it's just going to be way out of my normal routine running a pavement car full time.
Yeah,
but that's what I'd like to give a try. The more stuff you can drive, the better it's going to make you as a driver, and I just want to get the seat time with the TQ to try and improve indoor racing.
Yeah, that's where you want to be, man, for sure. I'm just gonna.
It's pretty crazy running the TQ indoor. The first time I was in the car, I went out for a practice session, and I got half throttle in my first lap, and I did a burnout all the way down the straightaway, and I was just like, wow, you really gotta tiptoe until the rubber lays down. And then the track changes so much with the new prep they're running indoor. They've been prepping the track differently the last couple of years, and the rubber starts to roll up off the bottom, and it gets kind of side by side. So if you get on the double file restarts, you actually would adjust the car differently whether you're starting on the inside or outside, because the bottom's going to be so slick and the top is going to have so much grip compared to the bottom. It makes it more fun because you definitely get more side by side racing. And if you watch like last year's Allentown video, the guys are entering and actually letting the car slide up and hook the rubber before they turn it back across, and it was almost more like running dirt. It gets so slick. Yeah, Allentown the last couple of years.
So wait, but that's not like and normally if you were in a midget, you would be on like an asphalt track, right? This is like polished concrete basically, right? Because it's the floor of a warehouse.
All the indoor stuff, is polished concrete. That they're prepping the surface. They used to use something different, like just straight Coke syrup, and it would rubber up, and it was thick, and you would see like strips of rubber, and you'd walk across it, and it would rip your shoes off. You couldn't stand on the track in one spot too long.
Oh, it's like a drag strip almost.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it would just pull your feet right off. Stuck. Oh my gosh.
But when it's that gripped up all the way across, everybody just runs the bottom. So the last couple years, they switched to running like a resin sort of stuff that they're spraying down, and they're prepping. It's like a mixture of resin, glue, and something else, I believe. And they're prepping the bottom of the track and the top of the track differently, so that they want the bottom to not be as prominent, so that guys have to move around, and it gets more side by side racing, and it makes it more elbows up for sure. It feels like you're on ice out there sometimes when the rubber starts to peel up. And then the only bad thing about the indoor stuff is if somebody oils down the track, it just ruins the surface immediately, and it takes a little bit to get it all back. So
yeah, I mean that's a little different for sure. I don't know how much of a delay I have. See, I'm just trying to see how much. I don't know how much delay is like built into Facebook, so I'm not trying to keep track of it. But they're asking what's your favorite slingshot track.
Ooh, that's
like, do you like? It's tough because the cars are so even sometimes, almost like I would say 75% of the time watching them, there's not like tons of passing. It's like once you get in line, like, because you could be leading the race, and if you like say you get spun out and you start in the back, you're not so fast that you're just going to pass everybody and get back to the lead. You know what I mean? You're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Like you could pass a few people, I guess. But you've run them a lot. I have
my
not.
Favorite track. I'd probably say my favorite track for the slingshots is Lanco, Clyde Martin Memorial Speedway. That's always been really fun. Short track, but a lot of banking and a lot of speed. We've always run pretty well there. I had some really cool photos. One day it was pouring rain, and when they sent us out for practice, the only place I could get the car to run fast was right up on the fence, and just drove the slingshot all the way up the banking around the fence.
Really?
That was pretty cool. Yeah, and then we got a...
That's great.
Man, I had a race there that I led almost every single lap and got down to like 2 to go, and Jared Silphy got by me, and that was just like heartbreak because I always loved that place so much and wanted to win, and he got by me with 2 to go.
Yeah, I
But
mean, if you're gonna lose to somebody, I mean, Sylvie was one of the best besides Neary, I think.
yeah,
Just in that short time span. I mean, obviously Brett Beaver's the goat, so
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
like he's
Brett,
like the goat of slingshots and will never be surpassed, in my opinion.
Brett and I started running slingshots about the same time, and I ran Snydersville for a bunch of years, just to get my feet wet coming out of quarter midgets with it before I started going on the tour or running any other tracks.
Yeah,
But Brett has legitimately, in the same time frame I've been running slingshots, won I think 5 or 6 times the amount of races that I have.
it's crazy.
It's insane.
It's crazy because he's. I don't. If you, I mean, you started way back when, so you remember like the Gold Series, the Silver Series,
Yep.
they had Poker Series every year. They had the Super Nationals. They had well, they didn't call it the World Finals. It was kind of like you just,
No, they had the Super National weekend. I don't even remember. I only remember running one of those when it was still the Super National weekend, and that was out at Trailway Speedway. That was really fun. But the second day we were out there, I pulled on the track to line up, and my throttle return spring snapped, and I had to, because the track is so paper clipped out with how tight the corners are, but how long it is. I was lifting and coasting all the way into the center of the corner to get the car to rotate, and we ran really well there, but I was exhausted by the end of the race because I was having to lift the throttle back manually, and then somebody broke and they had to tow the car off, and we were under caution for so long, and I couldn't find a comfortable way to hold the throttle from not just falling wide open, and my leg hurt so bad at the end of that.
Oh my gosh, the stuff you go through, man! I tell you, like, why not just pull it in? It's you got to race. You gotta
go, man.
That's crazy.
Run cars with radius rods snapped out of them. I ran one race at Borders that the beginning of the race, the left side radius rod snapped, and the axle was moving all over the place, and we were still coming through the field, and I just kept running. Finally, under caution, it was cutting a groove in the track, and somebody noticed it when we were going around, and they black flagged me with like 5 laps to go.
No.
I came in, and the
how
front
rude.
bolt, I know, right? The front bolt had snapped off, and it ground it to a polished finish at a 45-degree angle where it like jammed under the car. It
really
was completely filed down, but it was dragging for so long. But
that's nutty.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I guess that's
Aiden Donaldson says he likes the little track at Selinsgrove. I agree. When we ran there for the One World Finals weekend. Oh, it's very fun. It's a very nice, like, red clay track, no walls.
That's
me
what
and Jared Silphy had a great battle there for the championship one year. We unloaded.
Yeah, that's when you guys ran the big track too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was also fun. That was I couldn't believe how much the air affected the slingshots. I remember one of the first laps, I was going down the backstretch, and I had a run on a kid in front of me, and I pulled out, and it felt like I just threw a parachute out the back of the car, and I just lost all my momentum. I'm like ducking down in the seat, trying to keep my body out of the air just so I can get a little bit faster and pass some people. And then Scott and Jared are just all the way out there, nose to tail, first and second, pushing each other around the track. That was fun, though. That was
trying to keep
fast.
up, man. That was a little. I seen in-car video from Aiden, and it was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a little much.
I don't remember who it was. There were 2 Canadian kids, and I was sandwiched between them, and one of them threw a slide job on me as we were going into turn 3. I just remember going into the corner, and I hear somebody's engine just getting closer and closer, and he just flies past me, slides right past me in front of me, and I'm just like, what just happened?
It was like, can you not?
It was sketchy.
Can you not do that, please?
Going, and he just does that on a half-mile track. That was fun. I'd like to go back there. And the other thing
sounds like a racer, man.
Because all the trailers and everything pit on the infield where they cross the big track. there was a bump and you would feel the car lift off the ground every time you hit the crossover, and it would just like lift the car up. It was,
And then you're not gonna lift yourself. You're just like,
yeah,
nope,
I went,
we're just gonna
yeah,
ride it out, boys.
no, that was, they dropped the green flag and that pedal went flat to the floor and did not come up.
Oh my gosh, I can't even
It's all,
imagine, dude. I
it's also
can't even
sketchy.
imagine.
It's sketchy at the big tracks like that too, that you just run wide open. And I mean, you even get it at Linda's. You end up with getting like pad knockback on the brakes, because you're not using them at all. They don't really stay pumped up. So if something does happen in front of you or you got to slow down, you have to pump the brake up a bunch before it actually starts working again.
Well, that's if you have like
That's
the
hydraulic.
hydraulics one, because some people
yeah,
like
if you have manual brake,
like
that'll be there.
Brett Putnam. I don't know if he's watching, but he showed me his brake setup. I don't know, like a year or two ago, and it's just literally like these pads just like just hanging in there, loose,
spring-loaded caliper.
Not even, they're just jingling around. He's like, no drag, man, no drag. Didn't even have the clutch cover on it. Didn't even care. Super
That's
fast.
funny.
Didn't even matter. Like, as long as that's the whole thing, right? Just finding the small stuff to like make your car roll better, or keep your momentum up. It's just small stuff.
The slingshot is so underpowered that every little bit of drag you can get rid of, whether it's the brakes, the clutch, the bearings, how you treat the stuff, how you clean your chain, all that stuff adds up to be so huge. Just doing one of them isn't necessarily going to make you much faster, but when you put 5 or 6 different things like that together and have a well-maintained car, it's going to be a huge difference, and you're going to notice it when you run on a tour race or something like that against all the really good guys, when you start putting together a really solid maintenance program and making sure all of your stuff is on point week to week.
Yeah, because that's the difference between someone who just got into this division and someone who's been running it for as long as like Brett has and you have, and like Putnam and Bieber and all those guys. You guys all have like your small little things that people don't really know about, or you just do your maintenance a little bit different, or there's so much, because the cars are so even, like you said, like just that little bit can help you a lot, which is pretty wild. That's the cool thing about the slingshots. It's like you look at them racing and you're like, oh, they're all the same. Like everybody just has the same setup. But in reality, it's a lot more behind the scenes than it is at the track.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the slingshots seem to get a bad rap because I don't know, people just want to not like them, so
they're like, they don't go fast enough. They're not passing enough.
Yeah, they're not the fastest thing. Some races get single file and there's not a lot going on, but to be able to run so well, you have to be so dead smooth in those cars. One little mistake and you can get past. I remember, I'm trying to think who it was. A guy we used to race with at Borders. I think it was Johnny Bush. He made one mistake in one corner, and Borders was so short that like 3 or 4 of us went by. After the race, he comes out. He's like, I went into one corner. I made one mistake, and 4 yellow cars went by me, because it was
all the yellow cars.
Bettler. It was me, Kurt Bettler, and someone else, and Chris Kurtz Jr. And we all had yellow cars, and we were all running in a line. And he legitimately just made one mistake in one corner, and all of us just passed him. Going back to another one of my favorite tracks, I miss Borders so much.
I know you talk about it enough. Holy cow, man.
God, it was so much fun. That was my first time. I had been running the slingshots for a while, and I went to Borders for Oktoberfest for my first time on pavement. And
really,
we ran top 5 or 6 in all of the races. And there's some photos I have. That track was short. It was a little bit longer straightaways than Snydersville, but way tighter corners. It was like still an 1/8 mile, but I think we were starting 24 to 30 cars during that Oktoberfest on that track.
So
There's
cool.
some photos that I have that are crazy of how many people are actually lined up there.
I bet.
And it was such tight racing, and it was so much fun. And even on dirt, I don't remember much on dirt because I was way younger, but I remember a lot on pavement getting to run those races, and it was definitely, I miss that place so much. I wish it was still around.
I think Lowdown and Dirty was talking about Borgers a little bit. I mean, I feel like it's been around for a while, or it was around for a while. And I mean, I don't really remember because I wasn't, I don't know, into the sport at the time.
Yeah. I don't remember what year it started. It was either late 90s or early 2000s when they built the dirt track, and they used to run Friday and Saturday nights when it was dirt. And they ran 270s, micro sprints, slingshots, Fridays and Saturday nights on there.
Yeah.
Eventually, they were told that the smoke from the 270s and all the dust from the dirt track was too much, and they had to pave it, and they ended up paving it and just run it on Saturdays. But then
That's
that
terrible.
gave way to a lot of people, grew up go-kart racing. Actually, I remember, some of my first times watching Jared Silphy race was in a go-kart or champ kart at Borders when he was really little. And then, years and years later, I end up running with him, battling out for a championship in the slingshots.
Yeah. I mean, man, I'd love to see him back in a car, but I know it's like he doesn't seem as interested in racing anymore. Probably because of when he flipped in the speedster, probably just changed the outlook. You know what I mean? That can do it. Because I think he got a concussion too. So on top of all that, that kind of just changes your outlook on racing. I think in the most part, it's hard to come back from a concussion, even if it's small or big.
Yeah,
in my
he's
opinion.
been running like the demo derby stuff at the fairs.
Yeah,
and,
man, just like it's
really loving that.
Just
stuff.
having, as long as he's having fun, man. I mean, he was one of the best slingshot racers for sure. Everyone will say, "Oh, it's because he was in Randy's car." It's like, man, I could get in Randy's car and run dead last. Like it's not all about having the best car. Like I know that's like a thing, right? But like he has the best cars, but he's also been doing it longer than like literally anyone. So like he obviously knows what he's doing.
The way Jared and I really became close friends is there was the one season he's running for Randy, and him and I are battling back and forth, and I'm legitimately just finishing second to him week after week. And I think it was the first year that I owned 2 slingshots. So I went up to him while we were at Hamlin, and I said the next tour race was going to be at Airport Speedway in Delaware.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, are you guys going down to Delaware?" He goes, "No, I don't think Randy wants to go." I said, "Cool. You want to drive my car?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So
I think I saw a video of that race.
Yeah. Yep. Somebody had. I think Scott might have taken the video.
Yeah, but like he was there, you guys ran 1 and 2, right?
Yeah. So I had my car, which I had set up what I thought was good for a short track. And Jared took the other car, and I know exactly how fast that other car is, and I would have said both of my cars were pretty even.
Yeah.
And he just drove away from me. It just I
had
nothing for him.
You let him run the car, but you just like said, "Here's the car, and then we'll meet you there." Type deal.
He met me there. I took both cars down. He came to the shop one night, and we put scaled the car out with him in it and put a setup in it for him to run. And
did he do anything like specific or different, or is it just like small?
I mean, just basically. I mean, the setup that he would run was so close to what I would normally put in the car. We kind of just came to a middle ground.
Gotcha.
And you both ran that. So
you both ran the same, like technically the same exact
cars. Yeah. The only difference was I had an aluminum flywheel. He had a steel flywheel. How much that really made a difference between the two of us being on a short track, I'm not sure. But I knew exactly how fast that car could go. And
yeah,
any way you look at it, he beat me on my own car straight up. So I mean, that just went to prove that it wasn't just the fact that he's running Randy's cars and has the best of the best. He could really drive a car, and he just outdrove me that day at airport, and it was so much fun. Our trophy they gave him was a pumpkin, which is pretty funny. I wonder where that's at now.
And that's the same. Sure. I would say the same for Scott Neary, because Scott drove Jared's car so Jared drove the 11. And it didn't seem like he could get a win in it, and it was just like a real hassle. And then Jared moved to the 55. Scott took over the 11, and Scott just started dominating with the 11. I mean, just like lots of wins. I mean, I think he won 3 track championships in a row there. I mean, he beat Jared the one year. He beat Shelby McLaughlin by a point the one year, and I think he ran away with the one year. But he won like 2 track championships with that car, and then one with the 55. And then 2 world championships with the 55. So like,
yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's like these karting kids, because like I'm telling you, even the junior kids that I talk to now, like Braden Traver and Dylan Hahn, was like Dylan had like arguably probably the best junior season of all time this year. But
Yeah.
Braden is like first year in it, and he's won at Hamlin twice, and he just won at Oakland Valley. But like just having that knowledge and the smooth steering and the pedal pressure and stuff, like the karting, the two stroke karts really make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I mean the go-karts, what's difficult about them is, you don't have a suspension in them.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be dead smooth in those as well to get them handling right, and you got to have a pretty good setup, and I think a lot of that translates directly into how the slingshots get run.
Yeah, for sure. Let me see who I keep ignoring all these comments. W.J. Clark says we ran Shellhammers for points this year and once at Lanco. They only ran us once. I mean, they're
Shellhammers is
Shell.
another one of my favorite tracks. That place is fun.
Everyone's this fun, but it's just like once you get in line, like you can't pass anybody. I can't believe they run 600th on that thing. That's like blows my mind. But it's also super cool. Aiden said Reading Fair was also awesome, but the only year I ran it there was 95 degrees and it just rained, so it was humid. He said you might remember that the pits smelled terrible.
Reading Fair was always really cool. It made for some really cool photos. I have photos of me and Shannon, Randy's daughter, when we're running side by side with like the Ferris wheel lit up in the background, and that was like some of my favorite photos when I was younger. I always ran terrible there for whatever reason. That track just it was really fast, it was really flat. It was similar to like Borders or Snydersville, a little bit bigger. But it just had an awkward shape to it that made it more competitive. I think it made it so you could run a little bit more side by side, but I never ran well there. I flipped over. I had my first flip in a slingshot there. Caught the backstretch wall and rolled over, wrecked the car pretty good. And then I think like the next year or something, I had my exhaust fall off and I didn't finish. Then it always seemed to rain. West End Fair and Reading Fair, it always rained. I grew up running quarter midgets at West End, and then moved to running the slingshots for the West End Fair. It has rained all but maybe 1 year in 21 years that I have raced at West End.
That's
unbelievable.
The most
insane thing. I can guarantee you, whatever day they set it for. Did it not rain out this year as well, or was that last year it canceled?
West End didn't happen.
I think West End, it didn't happen this year. It ended up getting canceled.
But then Snydersville tried to run it and it got canceled because of rain, I think.
Yeah, it's cursed.
It's gonna rain. Thunder at the Ville almost got rained out, but they powered through before the rain, which was
there was one
pretty
night
wild.
In a slingshot that I think we were still racing at 1 a.m. for the West End Fair race because it got rain delayed so far.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, well, let's shift topics a little bit because we talked about slingshots the whole time. I mean, we could honestly talk about slingshots and the different drivers because there's been a lot of drivers that have gone from slingshots to bigger cars.
Yep.
I guess let's see. There's Super Dirt Week coming up this week for big blocks. I think small blocks as well. And Pro Stocks. Do you follow anything with the Super Dirt Car Series or the big modifieds, the large size cars?
Not really. Mm-hmm. I never really watched modifieds. I never got super into it. I just kind of helped out with some people when I was working on their modifieds, and that was the extent of my modified knowledge.
Gotcha. I mean, I personally, for me, I grew up around modifieds. My uncle started driving mid-90s, late 90s, mid-90s probably, and he had when they had the Gremlin bodies, and then up through the 2000s. So like ever since I can remember, we would go into 5 Mile Point every single week, or like we go to Makatech every week. And my mom started racing. She raced pure stocks for a good number of years at 5 Mile Point. So, I mean, the weekend was like everybody hop in the truck. We're going to the racetrack, which is super sick. Then I got to drive her car at Makatech for like a year, which is cool, which I still have that car. I'd love to get it going just to make some laps. I don't think it'd be competitive anymore, but the motor is pretty strong. It's a Invader 350. It still looks perfect. And it's like, last time I drove it was 18 years ago. So... yeah, so Super Dirt Week's coming up. That's like their big, that's like their Super Bowl basically. It's the whole week, and lots of, and they went to Oswego and put the dirt down, which is cool. Last year was a shit show, so we'll see if they make it.
Hopefully it doesn't peel back up.
1990. My dad said 1990 is when they started racing. That's crazy because I was born in '89. So
what did you ever race? Did you ever race really?
I raced my mom's. It's pure stock, factory stock. So it's like a Grand Prix body, like an 80s, 90s Grand Prix body type thing. So like basically what you would do is you take doors off the actual car and shear them, and then that would be your body basically, and you'd have the big chrome bumpers. And so we raced that for like a year. I don't even remember racing it. I mean, I remember some stuff, but like I have terrible memory, so I forget it all. I raced a couple of tracks. I think I went to Thunder Mountain once, or went to Redline when that was still a track. So I ran that for like a year or two, and then I put it in the wall, and then, didn't touch it for, it was a long time because I was in high school at the time, and then I went through the rest of high school and then college, and I just did not care about racing at all. And then right around the time I was having my first child, then I went back to Hamlin because my mom was working there, and it was just like a light switch, man. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So then I was like, all right, I have to work here some way. So I was like, I work in concessions. And I was like, this is terrible. I do not want to work in concessions anymore. My dad says a Chevy Malibu. Okay, sorry. Chevy Malibu. Anyway, it's the concessions were boring, and then I was like, listen, can I just do something in the tower? So then I just did like registration for the tower for a little bit, and then I was like, you know what? Nobody does video anymore. Like, I'm gonna video the races. So I started videoing the races on my phone, and made a couple. Like, I made one promo video for Tony Parlanti at the time with my cell phone, which is funny. But basically just like a little tripod for my phone, and then just videoed the races, and then got a camera, and this is where we are now, I guess. But like the main thing was I wanted it to be free. It's been stored for 18 years. Yes, it has been for 18 years. It's still sitting over there. I got the fuel tank out, and I got the fuel cell and the seat out. I just gotta. It needs some TLC, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I need to find a garage that I can actually work on it, because I don't have a garage. But
yeah, after 18 years, I bet it needs a little bit of love.
But yeah, so the main thing with the channel where it started was, usually the typical thing people did was they videoed, burned it onto a CD or a VHS if you're that old, and then sold it. And I was like, well, we're in like the social media era basically, so like why not just grow a channel and provide stuff that people actually want as fast as possible too, so it's not like other places where they'll either stream it or record it and then post it 2-3 weeks later. It's like I want it available to everyone as soon as possible, so that people can enjoy it and watch their son, grandchild, brother, sister, whatever. Everyone could watch each other race, and it was super fun. So that's kind of what it turned out to. So now we've been doing it for a couple years, and then I wanted to do the interviews, and that was cool. And that's kind of grown. I'm almost to 80 interviews at this point. So that's pretty sweet. So this podcast is the next step, and then we're just going to keep taking small steps until we take
to new horizons,
until we take over the whole planet. Basically, we're going to overtake Dirt Track Digest. We're going to overtake Flow. We're gonna be best buddies with Deo. It's gonna be great. We're the next
dirt racing mecca media.
Exactly, but for small cars.
Yeah, for small scale.
Small scale.
No, what you do with the videos and the interviews at Hamlin is absolutely awesome, and it's great content, and I think you help out the next generation of drivers tremendously, getting noticed and getting their sponsors out there, and getting them ready for when they have actual media, if they run anything. Because I mean, for me coming up, the only time that I really ever had anything even remotely close to an actual interview or seeing consistent videos was the indoor stuff, and that's only 2 or 3 races a year in the winter. and you got to run up front to be able to get a couple interviews or something in. So
That's
I always watch, everything you put out. It's interesting learning the young driver's story, see who's up and coming, and then like you said, your turnaround time on getting all the feature videos and everything posted from Hamlin is super quick. It's super nice. It's not like if somebody just live streamed the whole event, you have to sit there and scrub through to find your race.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and try to watch through flow of Action Track or something like that, and you have
you got to scrub through everything. Yeah, that's another thing. I wanted to cut out all the boring stuff. Basically, it's like, oh, there's a wreck. Now we're starting racing again, and just like, I don't know, giving everybody track time or video time basically. So like when they spread out, I'm not just gonna follow the leaders. I'm just gonna give. If there's 18, say there's 10 cars in a feature, I'm gonna follow everybody one lap, and then I'll give the guy in the back at least 2 or 3 laps, because it sucks being in the back and not being able to keep up. So might as well give them some time so that they can watch what the car is doing. Maybe they can make adjustments, and then
exactly.
Just give everybody some video time, because everyone's got sponsors, even the guys in the back. Everybody's got sponsors that help them out, so it's good to get something out there for them. And then interviews, I just kind of interview randomly, and honestly, I'm a bit of an introvert, so I just like had to talk myself into doing it. And it's basically like Danny Buckafuska is the one that was like, you should do interviews, and I was like, you know what, that's a great idea, I'll interview you. So he's been my first interview, and he's my 50th interview, so he's 100% going to be my 100th interview when I get to that point. But I
definitely
plan on
Danny
doing that.
Is an absolute blast.
He's so easy to interview, dude. He's so easy. You're just like, Danny, how's the day? Ooh, let me list out like everything that's going on in my life. Let me tell you about my plans, like everything. It's just like, I don't even have to do anything. And like when I went to Oakland Valley, I talked to AJ Albreda, who his brother works for all these big modified teams or something, I guess. But he was super easy to interview too. He's like, oh, I just did iRacing interviews all the time. It's like, I love interviews like that, because I don't have to do anything. I just have to say like 2 lines, and it's great, because I just make it up on the spot anyway. So not having to talk as much is great. Because sometimes like I stutter because I'm just like thinking of some, like while the person's talking, I'm trying to formulate the next question in my head, because I never prepare.
Then you got people like me that when you interview me, I just slowly took steps backwards until I was completely out of frame.
Well, you weren't that bad. I think like the worst was probably Connor Mirabelli, like super nice, and like he actually did really good in his interview, but like he was moving away from me really, really far. And like some people, like the younger kids will do that. They're like, as you stand there, they'll just slowly, create space between me and it's like it's hard to get him in the camera.
Next year, you're gonna have to carry a can of spray paint on the ground, and when you're just gonna draw a circle and be like, "Stay inside this circle."
Yeah, seriously. Let me see what's going on in the chat here. John Hannah's in here. My dad's in there. Brett says Tobias is racing at Derby this year. Holy cow! Is that Rich Tobias is doing it? Because I don't know how many Tobiases are out there. Nathan Jenna says hello. Nate Freed says hi. Oh yeah, someone got hit at in the pits at Pencan on Friday. I don't know if you heard. I don't think anybody ever talked about it, but
I didn't. I didn't even hear about that.
I don't think they posted anything about it. I only know about it because it was at my uncle's pit. So like they ran the Sportsman Losers race, right? So you can only enter it if you haven't won a feature. The track was we'll put quotations around technical. But they were bouncing around pretty good. No, I love Pencan. I just like not a big fan of trashing it too much. But the track conditions were treacherous. Cars were bouncing all over the place. So like he passed somebody, and then I don't know. They were probably just having a bad race since they started second, finished like toward the back. They're flying through the pits, and I guess they lost lost control of their car. And like didn't have good brakes, and my uncle's soon-to-be stepson luckily jumped out of the way in time, but she barely she kind of nicked him or like hit him in the knee, and then her car slammed into the what is it? He parks next to a telephone pole that's in the pits there, and the car slammed into that. So like if he didn't like get out of the way, he probably would have got pinned between the car and the telephone
Damn.
pole. So that's like super sketchy. I can't believe that ever is a thing or would ever happen, but like
Yeah.
it did. And it's just like infuriating because like I know who the person is, right? So it's like I know who the person that got hit was, right? So it's like I'm glad I didn't go and I went to Snydersville because I'm like not trying to like rough it up with some people, but like that's like unacceptable. Like if you wanna, if you're over emotional or uh angry about the race, like take it easy in the pits, get to your pit, and then you can vent, throw your helmet, do whatever you want in your own pit,
Yeah, definitely.
right? So like just like you're in the pits, there's tons of kids anymore, there's pets, kids, older people, like there's tons of people in the pits anymore. It's not just like the drivers and like their 2-person crew, right? There's like families that go in the pits now in all these races. So in my opinion, just like take it easy. When you get to your pit, you can do whatever the heck you want. If you want to go talk to another driver, fine. But like I don't know, what is your like I guess opinion of it? It's kind of like I'm ranting, but it's frustrating because like that stuff should never happen.
Yeah, definitely. I agree there. People gotta take it easy driving through the pits, especially when they're heated. I've definitely seen some people do some stupid stuff when they something happens on track and they come flying off the track. So
Yeah, it's like it's tough, man. I mean, I know you get I haven't driven long enough, or I haven't really uh I haven't like put all the money I have into a race car, and then if you get taken out, like you're obviously going to be super mad if like your whole like everything you have is into a race car, right? So like I could see that, but I don't know. It's a terrible situation, and they took him to the hospital, but he was fine. He's I guess just minor cuts and bruises and stuff, but just like so unacceptable. And
yeah,
hopefully the track does something as far as disciplinary action, in my opinion. But again, I'm not the promoter, I'm not the owner, so I can't really.
yeah, and
I
I
could
mean,
just
even
push.
you see it all the way up to top level racing with people doing stupid stuff like that. With Ty Gibbs getting a penalty in NASCAR
Oh
last
my
week
gosh, just
for
hit running into
running into cars going down pit road while there's
yeah
crews right there. It's
he
just
ran into Dylan on pit road. It's like, what are you doing,
yep,
man? Like
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah,
Especially with those cars, they just like everyone says they get hurt. Let's see. Yeah, Brett says Richie's running the car. Holy cow, Richie Tobias back in a modified, baby. Brett, do we know if he's running like a small block, like the 358 class, or if he's running the big block? I mean, I'm sure he could get a big block together. Just like with his name, he probably has connections all over the place. Excuse me. Seth said, Kyle, when's the micro coming back out? And then he said Nate got his micro. Oh, Nate got his micro today. Yes, I saw. I
there we
saw the
go.
pictures. I saw the pictures. It's Kenny's old car. Kenny, how do you say his last name?
I don't know. Don't
McGonaghy,
ask me. Yeah,
McKennigy,
something like that.
McConaughey the third.
I'm
He's
I'm terrible with
He's Kate
names.
Mattern's boyfriend. He won the rookie championship like 2 years ago with the car. It's a pretty slick car. I mean, it's that Total Fleet car that ran
Yep.
to Hamlin.
I'm excited to see what Nate's gonna be able to do with the micro. I mean, he ran my micro at the end of the night a month or so ago at Hamlin and did
Yeah,
pretty well with it. But it's definitely a learning curve. I mean, even
it's a
for me
big.
getting in the micro
Yeah,
and running it, it's you you come from the slingshot where you got to be so smooth and calculated, and then the micro you got to drive it 150% past where you feel comfortable
that's
to
yeah.
really get it hooked up. So it
'Cause
takes a little bit to learn.
he
But
ran one of
um,
Nolf's cars the last week at
yeah,
Hamlin, which
yeah, I
like
did see that.
it was like good seat time, but at the same time, like he didn't want to like really go too crazy because it's not his car. But now he's got a car, so now he can like get the seat that's his. He can get it all set up, so he's super comfortable. Like I think that's a big thing because, excuse me, I got to drive a 600 the last week of Hamlin, and that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy.
How did that go? I saw some of the video. I didn't see the whole
Um,
thing.
so like first of all, like I was really tight in the seat because I need like a 17-inch seat, and I think it was like a 16 or 15-inch seat. But I squeezed in there. I wasn't gonna be denied from my fat ass. But so I got in there, but like his pedals were too far back because I guess his what are you saying? His brake reservoir is like he didn't have anywhere to move it, I guess. So like the
Yeah.
pedals have to be a little bit more forward. So that kind of stinks. I had to like leave my left foot on the, I guess on the side of my foot to make sure I can extend my left foot so my legs weren't against the roll cage. The steering wheel was literally, it was hard to even get it in there because it was pushed against my belts.
No,
So
it
I
was
was too tall, so like the little visor on top was obstructing my vision a little bit. So I had to look. I was looking down instead of. Usually you want to look out and where you're gonna go, not down towards your bumper, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that might have hindered me a little bit, but at the same time, it's like I've only driven like full size cars. Like I've driven a Sportsman modified before, and I've driven like Slingshots and stuff, right? So like getting into this car, like sure I could get it full throttle. Like the first time I took it out, I just pinned it just to see what it felt like. So people were just like questioning that. They're like, "What the heck?"
It's easier to start out fast and learn to slow down than it is to start out slow and learn to speed up.
Yeah, and plus that's any car I get into, I flat foot it just to see what it feels like. Once you get that first feeling, you're like, all right, I get over that small fear, right? And then you're like, all right, now I have to get over the fear of driving it basically full throttle into the turn, because it seems like everybody just, you can't be lifted too early or you get run into. But it was weird because like as soon as you get off the gas, in my mind I'm like, I'll let it roll because I've driven big cars. But in those cars, you're like, as soon as you lift, you got to be right back on the gas,
Yeah.
either 25 to 50%, and then roll into 100. That's what it felt like. And like even the one time I looped it, Mike Nof was like, yeah, if you're gonna loop it, just put your foot to the floor and it should straighten out for you. So I did that in the in the heat. I
Yeah.
almost looped it, but I just pinned it and it worked out. But
Yeah, the
like, man, they're
micros-
so strange. But I can't wait to drive it again, man.
Yeah, they're definitely different than anything, and that's part of the intrigue of why I wanted to run one. They look like they're so much fun, and it's so different than what I'm used to. But yeah, you're absolutely right. As soon as you come off the throttle, even a little bit, the car wants to settle back to the left rear, and it just will pull the nose out of the corner and make the
Yeah,
car get super tight on you. Um, but yeah, you definitely getting in somebody else's car and feeling there, it's already tight in there, and if it's not put together for you to be in there, it's
it
definitely not a
definitely wasn't.
comfortable
And
experience.
I'm a little bit taller than the guy, and I weigh a lot more than him, and I'm wider than him for sure.
my
Uh,
my first micro that I put together, um I bought it off of one of my friends, and I adjusted, I put my own seat in it and everything and got that to where as comfortable as I could be, but it was such a tight fit and I sat at such an odd angle that I actually had, so your pedals are on adjustable um like rails in there, so you can adjust them about every inch back until they're comfortable. So I set my gas pedal to where it was comfortable, but
yeah,
then my brake, because my leg was bent going around the engine almost because I was sitting at an angle, had
yeah.
to be about 3 inches closer to me. So my pedals were in two completely different spots just so that I could reach the brake and the gas. But that car only lasted about 4 races until I decided to test the wall at Middleford and folded up the front end pretty bad.
Well, I mean, it got you into a better car, I guess, but that kind of
It
sucks.
got me to a different car. It's the micro that I have now. I bought as a chassis off Keith Crosley.
Mm-hmm.
He's a triple X dealer. He runs up at Greenwood Valley. Lives right there in Bloomsburg. But I bought that as a bare chassis off him, and I was thinking about it. That was in my 20 something years of racing. That's the first and only car that I've ever owned from brand new, I'm pretty sure. Every
Wow.
car that I've ever had quarter midgets, there might have been one quarter midget that I got that was brand new, but I can't remember. I know some of the quarter midgets I ran, I'm pretty sure were older than me. But yeah, that was the first time, and it's
Jeez.
different. It's a wishbone car. My old car was a Z-Link rear, handled a little bit different, but it's difficult because not too many people run the triple X stuff, and just finding the right
Mm-hmm.
balance of how I want to drive the car and how it needs to be driven to be able to get the handling out of it that I need is
Yeah.
it's tricky. It's so different from what I'm used to, with
It's
especially being all torsion bars and different rear suspension and everything. It's just
mm-hmm.
I'm used to coils and everything. I feel like I would have had better luck going to something like a dirt modified because it would be similar to driving a slingshot just scaled up. And I
Yeah,
know more people that are doing that, but
yeah, it's definitely a
wanted to run the
602,
micros.
man. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people go from juniors to that thing and start winning races. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Jude says hello. Jude. Brett says he's running a. So Richie's running a big buck for Dan Humes. Sorry, that's pretty wild. Tony Parlante's here. The wingless 600 champ from Hamlin, the champion, won it by like 20 points. Had to rattle off like 4 wins in a row toward the end of the season. Pretty wild.
It's always fun when you get championships to come down to stuff like that.
I was the only one. Everyone else was like pretty much wrapped up. I mean, it's tough at Hamlin because they have a max points of 195. Was it 195 or 185? No, it was 195. So you get 15 for a heat win, and I think a 180 for a feature win. But yeah, Tony's here. He said, "Yeah, you're pretty tight in there." Yeah, I was not going to be denying my chance to run a 600, and he might be building a brand new one. So he said I'd have more opportunities next year to run it. But he said he'd make adjustments so that I'd be more comfortable in it, which is great. And then
so they don't have to bring the butter to lube you up and slip you in.
Yeah, or I
again.
could just just like put the time in and actually like lose some weight and get healthy instead of just eating McDonald's all the time. That'd be great. I'd probably feel a lot better. I'd fit in the car better. I should probably do that. That's a good motivation, driving race cars. Rob Carmelo says hello. I think he runs Slingshots and he just tested at Oakland Valley, so hopefully that went super well for you, and he should be there on the 15th. Speaking of Oakland Valley, they're running their Oktoberfest. October 15th is their next race, and then October 29th is the race after that. Tim Hannon owns that track, and man, he's the nicest guy ever. Just loves racing. It's like all about it, man. He's all about it.
I haven't been up to Oakland Valley in a couple of years. I can't remember what the last race I won up there was, or ran up there was. I think it was a tour race, and I think that was another one that I finished second to Jared in. That might have been 2019, 2018, 2019. There was another race that I ran there. I ran a 100-lap race at Oakland Valley, and we had 3 yellows in the middle of the race just for them to water the track because it was so dusty.
Are you kidding me?
I have. Oh man, I don't know if I can't pull it up. I might be actually. Let me see if I can send it to you. I have a video from on board of my car that I'm going down the straightaway and I can't see the guy in front of me. I am.
Sounds like some modified track sometimes, man.
It was so dusty. I ended up getting a rock stuck behind my flywheel, and I couldn't figure out why the car was overheating towards the end of the race. And we got back to the shop, and when we fired it up and revved it, there were just sparks shooting everywhere. Here, I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to send this video to you.
Let's see who's here. So, yep, there's Johnny Fujello. He finished second in the stage 1s this year. This is like his first or second full-time season in a stage 1 and just like crushing it, man. Super fast driver again, and someone else that came from karts. Big surprise. Rob said the test night went great, car felt good. I hope that you can do well on the 15th. But speaking of Tim, he's got a really cool idea. So like he's got you've been to Oakland Valley, so he's got a road course that he runs the 2-stroke karts on, and then he's got that dirt oval that he hasn't run in a while. So with the karts, he basically has a setup so he's got all the safety equipment and karts and a track.
Yeah.
So if you pay a couple $100, you get all the safety gear, the kart, half a day's track time, and someone to show you how to race it. He wants to do that for the Slingshots because he thinks it's dumb that if you want to try Slingshots, most people aren't going to let you run theirs, and it's an investment of $10,000 to $20,000 if you're like getting a car plus a trailer, right?
Yeah.
So he's got like 2 cars I think already, but he wants to get a couple more so that he can do the same thing. So like if you want to test out a Slingshot, you can go there, spend $300, right? Get all the safety equipment, the car, half a day's track time. You get like 60-70 laps probably. And then someone there like Braden Traver works there, so someone like that would be able to show you how to run them, and you actually get like good feedback of what's you know,
That'd
how it
definitely be
feels
a
and
cool
stuff.
idea.
That's his plan, and then he wants to run regular next year. So that's kind of sweet. I think the track would be great for 600. So I'm trying to see if anybody wants to like make the trip down with their 600 just to do like hot laps, like during their show. I mean, it's not it's like a it's not really, they don't have a spectator area. It's kind of like the pits and the general admission is the same thing. But because like last time they gave everybody like 2 practice sessions, and then they bumped up the laps, so like everyone's getting max laps. Like I think the heats were like 12 laps each or something, and then like a 25 lap feature or something. So like it basically just set it up so everyone can take as many practice sessions as they want, and then you know, have max laps at the track, which is super super cool. Um, hmm.
Yeah, I
But,
think in quarter midgets,
yo,
what they used to do is they'd
Danny.
have a day that they would let like they would get volunteers that would let people run their cars. So you'd basically come up for the day with your car. It would get set up for new drivers to run, and they would get to test it out. But obviously, you know, you got to have people that are willing to volunteer their cars. And if the, you know, the big thing would be being able to put together all the safety equipment that the drivers would need to do that stuff, and then you could put a couple of them out there at once or one at a time to test. But it'd definitely be good to get more people interested, get people. I think a lot of people that aren't into racing or anything, yeah, are turned away to the barrier of entry to even test a car, like you said. So it'd definitely be a cool idea to see something like that come together.
Agreed, agreed. Let me see if I grabbing this. Let's see what you got. Yeah. Okay. So on the screen right now is this video you just sent me.
I'm waiting for it to come up in the stream to
Yeah,
see it.
let me move it around here
That's,
just a smidge. All right, let's take a look at this. Um, so I don't know. Oh, this is Oakland Valley. Holy cow,
it,
man!
it may have been the dustiest race that I've ever been part of. So
It looks
hopefully
like, man, it does
they've
look like it
sorted that
slipped
out.
off. Oh, they
Man,
100% have sorted that out. It got like it was so good. Like if you go onto my channel and watch the videos of their first set of races, like he did such a good job in prepping the track. It was smooth. It was fast. It was technical. Is the main thing too. Is
yeah.
super technical. So
It's a fun track because it's big and it's relatively flat if they haven't added much banking, but it was fun to race there. But that day that video is from, that I don't even think that's the worst of it. Probably have the full video saved somewhere. There was actually times that I was pushing somebody down the straightaway and you couldn't see their rear bumper, and the only reason I knew where the corner was they had a traffic cone at the entry to both corners, and I would just see that cone and know that I had to turn. But other
no,
times I've raced there, it's been better. Like when we went back the last time, I remember running, I think Jared won, I finished second, and then I think Taylor Mills was third.
Taylor,
That
another good
that was fun.
another good driver that doesn't race as much anymore, but still has his car. Same car he's had for the last I don't know how many
Yep.
years, but ran super good at Linda's last time I saw him too. Yeah, that track is going to be really cool, and I'm hoping I can maybe if you're available on the 15th, you should bring your 600 down. Run some laps by yourself. See if you like it. I'm telling
What's
you,
that, this month?
yeah.
I think the 15th. That is when
15th
Waterford's gonna be with
15th
the T2.
15th and 29th are the two.
29th is Slingshot World Championship.
Are you running it, or are you just going to watch?
No, I'm running it.
Ooh, who are you running
I'm
for?
gonna see. I'm putting my car together.
Oh, you still have it? I thought you sold it to get your.
No, I sold one car. I still have the other one.
Oh
But,
my gosh, let me drive it, man.
I want to see how far up in the championship I can actually finish if I go. I've always run really well at new tracks. Anytime
Yeah.
we go to a new track, I always run up front for whatever reason. It's just the fact that it's something different, and I adapt really quick to stuff like that. So I'm excited for the opportunity to run this track. But yeah, I'm gonna run because that's gonna be the World Championship weekend. The only other tour race that I won or run was when we won the Roval, and I forget, I'm somewhere in the top 15 in points just off of that one win alone. So I have no idea how the scoring can add up, possibly not having a weekly track or any other tour finishes. But I'm just curious to see how many points I can accumulate in that weekend with my Roval win.
That's
to
great.
see how far up in the championship I can finish.
Very nice.
Man, I mean, last year I ran kind of part-time and only ran the tour. I didn't run weekly, and then I ran World Championship weekend, and I finished second in the tour, Speed Week, and the World Championship. So
Oh, yeah. It's weird that we have like 2 Worlds events this year on top of all the Super Nationals plus points for your local track too.
The only reason I didn't run, the scoring, the way they score the Slingshot World Championship is a little confusing. I don't even know if I can explain it. But the only reason I didn't run the full weekend at the Bridgeport or Spirit Auto Center for the first World Championship weekend in the spring was because it was like the week after Syracuse. So I had been working on the TQ to get that ready, and I only picked the TQ up. We left for Syracuse on like a Thursday night, and I think we only picked the TQ up that Sunday night because it was at Lusaconi's shop.
Yeah.
So I just had time into that and getting other stuff taken care of. Didn't have time to put together the Slingshot because it was still set up from Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And I had the other car already set up for the road course because I had taken that car completely apart and set that car up for the Roval back in like October last year when they were originally supposed to have it, when it ended up getting canceled because it was like too cold and going to snow or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the only reason I just showed up for that one single race.
Huh. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I'm still like, that's awesome that you still have your Slingshot that you can, like, if you want to, you can just, you're like, yeah, put it together, go to Worlds, or, you know, if you want to go race at Hamlin, or you could double duty it if you want, man.
Yeah,
that might be a little much, but
it would be. The only reason I wouldn't run it right now, doing double duty on a regular night, would be just because I want to focus on the micro and getting that to where it needs to be.
Yeah,
because
it's so much. It's so much.
Having a brand new car, there's a lot of things that I put together custom on that car. Since it's a triple X, it's not like a Hyper where I just bought everything and
and then you're just
kind of had to customize a lot of stuff on that car to make it work, the way that I need it to.
So many knobs and freaking buttons in there, man. Telling you, it's different.
You're just blown away by the fact that I can adjust every corner of the car.
It's like a damn aircraft in there, man.
I know. My TQ would be the same way, but they have a rule against having more than 2 adjustments.
Oh, so really? Well, I mean, that's they probably had to deal with some stuff in the past.
It's probably better for me that I can't have every adjustment under the sun.
You'll be turning knobs with both hands, man.
Yeah. So all I have in the TQ is I have a brake bias adjuster, and then I have a panhard adjuster and a right front shock adjuster.
Gotcha.
And that is it. Indoor, you could run more stuff, I think, but I just run the same stuff indoor. There's no sense in overcomplicating it. Indoor, you got so much going on, it's hard to reach down and adjust anything.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Danny Buckafuska. I don't know if he's still here, but gave us the hang loose little hands, you know what I mean? Danny, what a legend, dude. What an absolute legend.
I keep having to refresh the video to get comments to come up.
Oh, really? I have a live dashboard because I'm special and I'm it's my channel, so I get to watch them as they're coming in for the most part.
I don't even know what I just did. Now I can't even scroll through the comments. Oh, wow. I just reopened the live stream and it totally changed everything.
Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh. I mean, let's see. Well, we talked about that. Oh, since we're talking about 600s, there's a big 600 race coming up at Greenwood Valley Action Track. Yes. Hopefully, a lot of people are going to go to that. The Blaze Alexander, I guess, Memorial. Yeah. Two night race. Let me see. They should have something. I think they have something on here if it'll actually load.
Yeah, I think it's gonna.
So yeah, they have a Friday. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit.
Yeah, being that it's this time of year, that's gonna draw out a ton of people, and it's gonna be a really cool event. That track puts on really good racing, and I just love the shape of that track, the way they have it banked out. It's bad fast in a micro.
Yeah, it's so October 7th and 8th, Friday, 500 to win for winged, wingless, and 270s based on car count, based on a 24 car count. No rookies. 125 and rookie 600s are on race cards. $75 registration. I think they changed that to 50. I think because it's just 500 to win.
Yeah.
Still, registration fee is god awful, and I hate it. I hate it. But again, you can't always find sponsors for everything, so it's tough for the smaller tracks for sure. Like not everybody's Utica Rome, right? Saturday's 1,500 to win for the 600s, wingless 600s, and 270 based on a 40 car count. McIntyre Tree Service is sponsoring 500 to the field. And then no rookies or rookie 600s. $75 for that one, for sure. What else? I don't. They don't really have times here. Pit pass is $30 for a single day, $55 for both. General admission $10, and you can camp there if you want. There's just no water, electric, or sewer hookups. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully, I can get in touch with them this week and provide some video coverage for them because this is one of their bigger races, and I'd like to, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
So I hope
definitely.
to get there.
It'd be awesome to be able to see some video footage from the race. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be going.
Too busy.
Trying to focus on getting the TQ ready. I want to run that before it comes up to indoor season. I just need more seat time in that. I'll probably
that's smart.
Probably putting the micro away for the season. Not gonna run anything else. Get the slingshot. Get the slingshot ready. My car is still set up the way it was for Atlantic City when it came off the track with a blown right rear.
Jeez.
On lap 5.
Nice. just collecting dust, man.
My last slingshot indoor race for the foreseeable future just ends in disappointment. We are so fast. Just tire and hold up.
Other than that, I don't see them. There's not many races really coming up. Like Skyscraper got canceled. They did reschedule the Danny Sereno 100 for the big block. So Bridgeport's, I think that's in November, toward the end of November, I think. But other than that, not really that many big races besides.
When isn't there the race coming up at Millbridge? Did I see that somewhere?
Oh, the Carolina. Yeah. It's like 10,000 to win. Let me see here. Danny Sereno 100 is going to be... Are you going to tell me? Oh, November 6th. Or November 6th. As far as Millbridge, I just looked at that, actually. Millbridge.
I saw it the other day. I'm trying to pull it up. Oh,
jeez.
My Facebook is not working.
Let me see. I know I don't know if they even have it on their Facebook. Yeah, the Carolina Micro Showdown. They're looking for sponsors and everything for it still. So October 31st to November 1st. So that's actually a Monday Tuesday show, which they normally run Monday Tuesday because they try to get all the NASCAR Truck Series people like Sheldon Creed and Haley Deegan. Some other people to get in there, but Monday prelim night is 500 to win for each feature. Tuesday, non-wing 600 qualifying night. 50 lap A main, total purse is $32,000. Whew. But again, I don't know. Also, they're running. So the right rear tire is the U6 SA or ASCS2.
Yep.
No right rear tire treatment. U6 SA or A class engine rule, except for the ignition system. U6 SA rev limit and charging system rules. I really don't know what that is. Any motorcycle ignition system can be used on any engine. PE3 ignition systems are legal. So I don't really know if you have any insight on that specifically, because I don't know.
Yeah, so with the 600s, like you have the A-class engines, which are your straight 600s with stock throttle bodies. The U6 SA is what the PA rules follow for the most part, but they only run them at certain events. That's when you can run your 636 Kawasaki's with actually different throttle bodies and injections on them that are purpose made for that car, not just what came off the bike. And then as far as the rev limit and charging system, it's just, what your tune is going to be set at for what the car is going to be rev limited out at is following the U6SA stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's basically anybody who runs in PA is going to have, a legal car there unless they have an outlaw. It's just anything but outlaw stuff. And then the PE3 system is this
Whoop.
newer type of digital dashboard data recorder ignition system
Oh
that lets you
yeah.
kind of hot swap tunes whenever you want. You can load tunes into it and change them around. I don't know too much about it. I just know
Is that with like
um
600cc performance or like the ejector guys? Is that how they're
um
able to do stuff like,
well
Wi-Fi
yeah,
wise?
yeah, exactly. So the PE3 system, you'd be able to connect in remotely and change stuff. um I don't know any other way of doing that. I know if you're running like a Micron 5 with data recorders, you can hook up a laptop with Wi-Fi after a run and see all the data, excuse me, of see anything that you have. If you have speed sensors or throttle position sensor, brake trace, RPM,
Jeez.
anything that you hook up to the engine, you can run through a micro, but it doesn't let you or a micron, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
let you change the tune itself. The PE3 system, as far as I know, you can change the tune, but
That's right.
I
Yeah,
never
I
really
always
looked.
thought like the injectors things that you can like on the fly, you know. Are you so with the injector technology and how you can basically like remote into it like a computer basically?
Mhm.
Are you able to like on the fly like say they're racing? Can you like have a visual of the data and like make changes as they're racing to their
Um,
injectors?
Not with like a normal system. With the PE3, you might be able to. I don't know.
Like I don't know if that's considered like
I
if
don't
you
think while
can.
it's on and running, you can. I think
Okay,
you'd
I
have
didn't
to
know if,
reset it.
like if you were able to do that, would that be? I guess that would be considered cheating because like you're like tuning the car as you're driving. But I don't know
Yeah.
if that's like
I
something
mean,
that has popped up before. So like I don't know.
yeah, I
My
think that's part of the question why it's listed in here that they're allowing it, because there was questions whether the PE3 system was going to stay legal
oh,
with
mm-hmm.
U6SA. I don't know if it's legal in A class since you are able to retune stuff, and it's
Yeah, I
not
don't know.
cheap. It is a relatively expensive.
Nothing in this class is cheap. Someone
No,
tried
it
to write
is
an
not.
article saying how it's an affordable division to race, and it is not, my friend.
I mean, it can be like
Sure,
I,
sure.
I've seen, the best example would be my friend Chase Cabry. Like he could buy a $6,000 micro and take it anywhere and
Well,
run up front with it. I've seen
that's
him run up front with at Millbridge
that's Chase
with
Cambry though. Come on, dude. Like that's like he's like unbelievable in a 600.
yeah.
Like
No, he
he's
is really good.
super
But I
good.
mean,
He's good
if
in
you know what you're
anything.
doing, if you know what you're doing with getting a setup right and then can drive, you can buy
Hey, if you know
a five or
Chase,
$6,000
if you
micro and run up front.
if you know Chase, we got to get him on the podcast because I
Definitely.
watch the vlog. I watch their vlogs all the time. My dad said, "Where is Greenwood Valley?" Greenwood Valley is over by Bloomsburg, over in Greenwood Township. So like you go down, basically take 80 all the way down to like Mifflinville or like near Bloomsburg, basically,
Yeah.
and then you just hook a right and just you're there basically. So like
Follow the river out to the
follow
cornfield.
the river, boys, out to the old cornfield. Yeah. So it looks like from our house. We take 81 past like Wilkes-Barre, just 81 just flying. Then get onto 80, and then from 80 looks like you're getting on 487, and you just run right into it. So about an hour and a half, hour and
It's
20
out there.
minutes. It ain't, well for me. I live 2 miles from Hamlin, so for me it's hour and a half. So it's not that bad. But
It's
considering
like
all the tracks like Linda's
yeah,
and Kutztown and Cheltenhammer's, they're all like within a 30-mile radius, and that's like 2 hours from my house. Like, I'd love to
yeah.
go there more, but
Most
I
of
just
them are too.
can't. I just can't, man.
But
It's too
yeah, but
far.
Hamlin's like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, I think. I mean, my closest tracks would
For
be
you,
Borders and
Hamlin's two
Snydersville,
hours.
and yeah, yeah.
Well, like Snydersville's 40 minutes for me.
Snydersville is about just over an hour from where my shop is.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, to go into like Sealands Grove was killer. that was like 3-hour drive.
Oh
and
my
then I'm
gosh!
trying to
Just to
think
drive
how
a
long it took us to
slingshot,
get to
bro. Just to drive a
Harrisburg
slingshot.
or not Harrisburg. When we ran Trailways, that's out by Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking we're going through all these cornfields and we're just driving and I'm like, yo, where are we?
What are we
I can
doing?
see like 15 miles in any direction and I don't see a racetrack out here. And you just like come up upon it slowly and you're like, oh
Yeah.
look, there's the racetrack and you're still 10 minutes away as you're getting closer to it. That was really funny.
So Greenwood actually posted something an hour ago. Warm up, time trials, 2 cars, 2 laps, top 10 lock in on time. Rest of the field to heat races based on car count of how many come out for each heat. Revenge redraw for locked in cars. Woo-hoo!
Love it. I haven't. More tracks
That's
need
cool.
to do a revenge draw for that stuff.
So if you can just like explain it to me because I'm dumb and I never heard about it before.
So instead of doing a normal redraw where your top 10 are locked in, you pull pills and that's where you start.
Sure.
A revenge draw is, say I go up and I pull number 10.
Oh, you could give it to somebody.
I have to give it to somebody. So
you give it to the fastest guy.
Yeah. So like, if I go up there and
yes, sir.
I go up there and I pull 10, I'm giving that to like Damon Paul to put him, in starting in 10th
sure.
place. And I'm hoping that, I have a friend up there who's going to hand me the number 1 pill. And that's what the revenge
put Damon Paul
is.
as far back as possible because he's still gonna catch your ass and he's still gonna it's like you gotta do whatever you can to keep him down because if you put him up front, it ain't gonna be even close.
Put money on Damon to start from the rear. If he qualifies in the top 10, give him a bonus to start from the rear and win the race.
Dude, if I had money, I'd do that. I'd be like anybody that like I've seen those little cars that Tanner Holmes runs. I can't remember what they're called.
The Legends.
The little like they had the 500cc motors on it. The little the dirt bike motors. What are they called? They got the tiny tires. It's like factory QRC has them and stuff.
Outlaw carts.
Yeah. Outlaw carts.
That's what Nate said.
Yep. Okay, Nate's smart. Yeah. So the outlaw carts. So what they'll do is that when they're running inside, if you get to be within, I don't know the specifics, but they say if you choose to start at the end of the rear, then you get a bonus if you win, type thing. You know what I mean? So like some of the fast guys will start way in the back because like if they have some cautions, maybe you could sneak up there and then race to the win, get an extra $100 or something.
When tracks do stuff like the revenge draw, cool. Putting a bonus for people to start from the rear and come to the front, or like if somebody's winning a bunch of races, put a bounty out on them.
Yeah, it makes it so interesting. I also would love to do I guess it's easier with the 600s, but to do like the point systems that they use in like the in the 600s for like slingshots or something. Like everyone has time qualifying, and that gives you points, and then you get points on where you finish in your heat, and then they lock in. I don't know how that stuff works, like if there's passing points or not, but I feel like it's tough with the slingshots because there's much slower, not a lot of power. But I don't know. It's an idea. Maybe we'll do that for the big race if I ever get a big race together. We'll have some unique, dual heats or something, or whatever we're gonna do.
Start promoting some races and put together some cool events, and we can make
I'll be the
different scoring system for the race.
I'll be the Brett Deo of slingshots, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be great. Johnny says Hamlin's about 2 hours from us. My God, how do you guys? I give it to the race teams, man. They're just like so dedicated when they're running points. Like driving 2 hours, like I can't even do. I drive an hour and I'm just like, oh, I'm so bored. You know, I'm just driving by myself most of the time, but it's like, hour and a half, like 2 hours. It's too much. I'm just spoiled. I live 2 miles from Hamlin, so it takes me 5 minutes to get to Hamlin to get to the track.
The worst part for me about racing Hamlin is on the ride home, going down that first section of like, what is it, either 84 or 380, where it's just bumpy
Yeah,
and you're just
it's
bouncing
terrible.
nonstop with the trailer on there. It is awful.
It is the worst for sure. Yeah. All right, man. We've been talking for about almost an hour and a half at this point. I think we might have to wrap her up.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
got work in the morning.
Me too. Luckily
But
for me, work is across the street. But
I wish. Well, I mean, I'm only 10 minutes. I'm only 10 minutes from my job, so it's not like I'm like driving.
so you're close. You're closer to Hamlin.
Yeah, I'm real close to Hamlin. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. I mean, maybe we'll make this a permanent thing if you have Sundays free, or I'd like to do a new guest every single week. Even if it's me and you, we could get another guest every single week. So we'll figure the logistics out.
Yeah, definitely.
This week for sure. But
I'd like to get some of the younger kids on and talk to them about stuff, and then some of the veterans on and talk to them as well, because it's going to be interesting getting different sides of, you know, people who are racing together, and you have a large age group in the Slingshots and in the micros, and
especially
a lot of other
small car
stuff. Small Carl.
Little Carls, man.
I can't speak. It's past my bedtime.
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, but even in the micros, man, there's these young kids. I mean, they're like, I don't know.
There's so many people.
4 foot nothing, like wheeling these things, man. I can't even believe it.
There's so many people that would be great guests to have on the podcast.
Rip the Lip Nationals, yes, that's what's gonna happen, man. I'm telling you. I'm fingers crossed. I can find some money somewhere, maybe buried out in the treasure chest, and then just put on a really sweet race for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, especially for the Slingshots. So, fingers crossed. That more on that later in the off season for sure. When I figure that out
in the off season.
Agreed. If we can get some serious money, there's going to be a serious race. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. Yeah, so thanks for coming on. We'll figure out guests for the next one. But made a lot of fun. I mean, an hour and a half went by super quick. I wish we could keep just chatting, man. But next week's another day, and we can get another guest and just talk about racing, man. I love it.
Absolutely.
I guess
thank you for having me.
I guess tell the people where they can find you and all your social media stuff if you have it.
Yeah, so you can follow me, Kyle Hervey on Instagram, and Hervey Motorsports on Facebook and YouTube.
Awesome. And anybody watching right now, just go hit that follow button. Make sure to share all the stuff to get people more followers is better, because then I can convince people to give me money for races. so I can give the money back. That's the main thing. If they want to give me money, I'm gonna push it right back at the drivers and everything. Just picture the Mr. Beast of racing. That's one of the goals.
I like that.
Like if I could show up to a track and give somebody a race ready car and a trailer, that would be the sickest thing ever. That would be the most ridiculous video ever, wouldn't it? Like here's a race ready 600, a Hyper 600, and a trailer.
That'd be sick.
Like, can you even imagine? Oh, dude, I can't. I'm getting too hyped up right now. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yep.
Stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna be doing this every single Sunday from now on, probably around 8 o'clock, 8:30. So Sunday, kind of a wrap up night. It's nice because it's even during this season next year, we'll be able to, race on Friday, Saturday, and then talk about it on Sunday. So Sunday seems like it's a perfect day to have like a wrap up day or just talk racing and just hang out, and hopefully we'll be able to get a couple of them in person, maybe crack a few brewskis and just enjoy our time talking about the best sport ever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I guess that's it for the first night, and I guess we'll see you all next week. See ya.